Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, my name is LJ and you're watching NoClutch Garage. Today we're going to be talking about custom tuning your B58, and for this episode I actually had a different introduction recorded, but Eric accidentally deleted it. It was a total accident, so whatever. Essentially what we had done is we went to a gas station and we went up there to show you my process for testing the ethanol. I had already made a video on this, and actually if you're curious as to how I test my ethanol, you can go ahead and click on the link up above and it'll take you to that video. But essentially I would use a fuel it test kit with some test tubes. The full instructions are in that video, but essentially we're going to be testing the ethanol and make sure that we know exactly what content is in that ethanol. That way we can create a good mixture to go into the car and actually get an accurate reading of the ethanol that we're actually putting in our cars, which is very important. A lot of people just dump ethanol into the tank, just going off of tank measurements, and that's actually not at all how you do that. You have to test your ethanol every single time that you grab ethanol and every single time you're about to put it in your car. Having an ethanol analyzer in your car is great because it tells you how much ethanol is in the tank, but low ethanol content E85 is actually not great. So we always want to have the highest ethanol content possible. For E85 would be 85 is ideal. Anything above that is great, but you typically don't want to go too low. I typically don't like to use E85 that's reading below 80%. That's just because in that case you end up losing octane, and yeah, so basically don't do that. Anyway guys, we're going to continue the rest of the video with the other clips that I already have in here, and I hope you enjoy this. Alright guys, so now we have done the fueling part of it. Now we have a full tank. The next part obviously is to open your flasher. This is specifically about MG flasher, but this is pretty much the same process with any tuner that you use. So right now we assume that we have E50 in the car. I can't really confirm that without an analyzer. That's why I recommend it. If you need an analyzer, by the way, link in the description down below. But we're gonna go ahead and assume that it is E50 in the car. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and connect to the car. Right here we're gonna go to custom map, and that's just some general information. We have here our stage 2 DS2 E50 bin file, and this is the first revision. This is literally just a base map just to feel the car out, and then after we do some logging, we're going to be working some of those kinks out. So we're going to go ahead and select it, press continue. We have Dorch Engineering Stage 2, and all the settings are already there from your other maps, so you don't really have to change anything. And then continue, and then you're going to start the flashing operation. Make sure that your car is in diagnostic mode and everything else, and we go ahead and start flashing. All right, so now we have here that the process has been completed, so that's pretty much it for the flashing part. What we are going to do though is we're going to go to the logger, and here we're going to set the parameters that Marin wants to check. What I would do in this case is I would shoot him a message and tell him to tell me what he wants to see on the logger. The MG flasher logger for tuners is really good. From what I've heard from everybody, it's like one of the best. So what we're going to do now is Eric is going to be driving the car, and as he's driving the car, we're going to do a few pulls that Marin requested from us so that he can see how the car is working, what needs to be adjusted. And this is considered street tuning. From my experience and the way that we've done things, this is a really good way to do it initially, at least, because you get a sense of the full load on the road. When you tune just on a dyno, it's very easy to make good power, but that power doesn't actually always translate to the road. Sometimes you can tune a certain way on the dyno, and then when you get on the road, it drives really rough because you don't have a really good indication of what actual load is. So what we do is we do a little bit of street logging, then we take it to the dyno to iron out all the details and everything, and then your tuner may request to go back to the street and do a few more logs, just so that if anything is to be adjusted, he can send you another revision to fix all of that. And that's exactly what we did with my car, and my car ran flawlessly. So right now we're gonna do some street logging. We're gonna send the logs to Marin, and then he's gonna adjust accordingly, or if nothing is to be adjusted, then he'll tell us, you know, let's just wait until the dyno, and then once we get on the dyno, we do the rest. So let's go ahead and start that part. Hey, all right, so now we're in the car, and I'm actually looking at the email here that Marin sent Eric. Like I said before, there are a few parameters that we want to look at, that we want to activate on the logger. For Eric, Marin requested that we get a 5 to 15 minute driving log. So we're gonna drive normally for about 5 to 15 minutes, and it's gonna be logged the whole time. And also we're gonna do a few separate logs of, we're gonna do a 3rd or 4th gear pull from 2500 RPM to about 5500. I usually go all the way up to 7000 RPM, so redline, just to get a better sense of the top end of the car. And right now we're waiting for the gas to mix. We don't really want to do anything crazy because things could be off, you know, because the fuel is not mixed properly yet. One of the things that I do like to do is, as I'm driving, I just kind of move the steering wheel left and right a little bit just to get everything moving. But since we're on the highway and this particular road is kind of bumpy, it's going to happen anyway. So we're going to do a 5 to 15 minute log, and then we're going to do 2 logs. We can do one in 3rd gear and one in 4th gear, but it really doesn't matter. You can do both in 4th or both in 3rd, as long as you go through the RPMs. So we have right here the logger. This is the logger for MG Flasher. What I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to start it, and that's automatically going to log the way that Eric is driving. Now, it doesn't really matter how he's driving, and in fact, the more data you get from switching up the driving, the better. But for now, we're just going to do normal driving. If it needs to pass or anything like that, it's going to be logged, and Marin's going to have a better sense of how the car is doing. So right now, we're just going to let this play out for about 15 minutes, and then I'll cut back whenever we have to do the actual pulls. Alright guys, so now we completed the log. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do a log in 4th gear from 2500 RPM to redline. Alright, so 2500, and then gun it. And that time we got 6000 RPM, which is fine. And then I went ahead and stopped the log after we stopped. Alright guys, so we did the pulls, and then Marin looked at the logs and he sent another revision. So basically the way Marin works, or your tuner would work, they would send you a file. In this case, he has a file right there. On an iPhone, you would go ahead and click it, and this is strictly for MG Flasher, and then you save it to your files folder. He already made like a tune kind of file for it, so then he just saved it there, and then press save, and then it's saved. So, and then now you go back to your MG app and go ahead and open up your car, custom map, and then continue. To upload a new revision, you have to press upload mod, and it's gonna take from wherever your files are. So if you have it organized, then you grab it from wherever you put it. Right here, it shows up right there. So he's gonna go ahead and click it, and then you have your new file. So he's just gonna go ahead and click it, press continue, and continue, because he has all the settings, and then just start flashing. And with that, that's a new revision, and this was on the stream tune. So basically this is how it's gonna go. Even on the dyno, you will do a pull or whatever the tuner asks you to do, and then he will send a new revision to correct whatever he sees needs to be corrected. So this is it for the street tuning part of this video, and the next part that we're gonna go look at is gonna be the dyno tuning, and that will be in a few days. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. Alright, so right now we're having one of the techs here go ahead and set this up on the dyno for me. I just don't really feel comfortable setting it up, but I am going to be running the dyno myself, and of course I'm going to be taking video of that. Essentially, we just bring the car in, put on the dyno, strap it down, and then I'm going to get on a phone call with Marin, and we're going to go ahead and get this thing rolling. Right now he's just trying to adjust the car, put it on the dyno, best position possible. Ideally you want the wheel right at the top or right behind up the roller, and that's pretty much it.
Gotta whore other people's cars out now that you don't have one?
Yeah, pretty much. Hey Brandon. It's rainy outside, but finally have the car up on the rollers. This will be fun. So when we did this with my car, I really didn't feel like recording it, even though like I kind of wanted to, but honestly I was so focused on just getting the car running right that I didn't even feel like spending the time trying to record and have all that get in the way. But hopefully with this you'll get a better sense of what a custom tune process is like. Definitely something that I think everybody should watch so that they can know what to expect, because most of the time it's like this. Very rarely will you go to a shop and then they'll just flash a tune and that's it. Most of the time when people do that, it's just an off-the-shelf map. It's not a real actual custom tune. But this is a more real-world example of what this is like. Alright, looks like we're almost ready to start. He's starting up the fans just so the car doesn't, you know, heat up or whatever. Other than that, I think we just calibrated the dyno for 6th gear. Yeah, we're almost ready to start tuning. Alright guys, so I didn't record the pull they just did, but this is the baseline. So basically the base map started at 472 horsepower and 588 pound-feet of torque. That's pretty good numbers if you ask me. Alright guys, so now we are inside the car and we're on the dyno, and basically what's going to happen next is almost identical to what we had to do out on the street. So basically what Marin's going to have me do is I'm going to connect to the car. So we're going to go ahead and connect, and we're going to go ahead and go to the logger, and that's going to show me what the car is actually doing. For every pull I'm going to do a log and make sure that it is recorded so that Marin can actually look through the data as well as what the dyno graph tells us, so that he can look at all the information and make the correct adjustments. Right now we have our logger ready, and then we have here our controls for the dyno. One of the buttons is to push the brakes and the other one is to go ahead and start the roller. And of course you can also control the computer using these buttons. We're not putting too much emphasis on the controller, we're putting more emphasis on the dyno pulls and actually seeing the progress as we go. So let's get started. Alright, so we're going to start at 2000 RPM and we're going to go to red line, and we're going to log this at the same time. So go ahead and press log, and then press graph. So that pull did 485 horsepower and 566 pound-feet of torque, which is honestly kind of impressive. Yeah, 485 on E50 blend, just street tuned. This isn't even with the dyno yet. I mean, I'm actually excited to see what Marin does next. So I'm about to put Marin on the phone, and we're about to do a few more pulls, see how many revisions he wants to send us. This is looking to be exciting. Hey baby. What?
I sound like you're dying.
You do sound like you're dying.
What is this car supposed to make? In my book, there's not much left on the top end, but we will make a couple small tweaks.
It made 485 this last pull.
I was assuming they only made like 470, 480, but I've never seen a dyno on one of these. Just based off the characteristics I see from the turbo's response.
I'm having trouble gauging the pedal because if I touch the button at the bottom, it'll go into auto.
Oh yeah, don't they all do that?
Not if you're, it's not supposed to do that if you're on DSE.
Really?
Or dyno mode, my bad. My car didn't do that.
Oh, mine does. That's weird.
Because you get a Supra.
How old are his plugs?
Not too old. Actually, he probably did them like 2 months ago.
Yeah, we're gonna drop some boost then and see what happens, because I don't think it liked the boost I put at it. Usually the Gen 2 cars are okay, like 92-94% wastegate, but he's getting a little bit of scatter in his timing up top, which makes you think that might be a little spicy up there. What's his ethanol content?
50?
It looks like 40.
It looks like 40?
Feel good.
It should be 50, but oh, and send me the files here. Don't send them to him.
Send files to WhatsApp?
Yeah. Alright, I'm back.
Is he there too, or just you? That owns the car. Is he also there?
No, he's not here.
Boost control. I don't know what's going on the low end now. It's kind of concerning to me. Like it looks pretty on the plot, but like, something's a little off.
Well, you're a wizard.
Yeah, it needs to be higher. Okay.
So what are you gonna do right now? You're gonna lower boost and add timing, or what?
Yeah, I'm gonna lower. It's probably gonna do the same boost because I did change things. I raised some boost down low. I want to see that correct 600. The turbo is definitely smaller than Gen 1.
No, yeah, our turbo is definitely smaller than Supra's.
Yeah, it's quite a bit smaller than I was expecting.
Alright, I'm about to reflash right now.
Alright.
It's amazing how much of a difference a fucking pump makes on these cars, though.
Yeah, that stock pump, we'd be crying at like, what is it, 470?
Now I gotta wait 30 seconds and then start it back up. I think people think that tuning is a lot more fun than it actually is.
Tune sucks, dude. Welcome back.
Alright, sorry. Only got into dyno mode.
Oh, yeah. I kind of pain on this.
Yeah. I'm about to do this run real quick. God dang, son, you trying to show off?
What we do, baby?
498?
I'll tell you, like, goddamn, we gotta break 500.
Alright.
I don't know if it's gonna break 500. I'll be heartbroken if it doesn't. What's the torque?
586. I'm sending you.
So close to what I wanted to hit.
I'm sending you the log
Can you
right
show
now.
me this plot versus the last one so I can see it like overlaid? Can you
Yeah.
do that?
Yeah, I got you. Hold on. I gotta get down to the computer. So Marin just had me overlap the two graphs from the baseline to the new revision, and we're pretty close to hitting 500. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Man, you're telling me I was 1 horsepower away from my goal? Are you fucking kidding me?
You can bring it up.
Man, I don't know if I can. I think he stopped out. I'm getting this weird pacing spike right at 59. What is going on? Right now, it's at 4.
Say what?
It's gonna make more torque. You're rolling into it. You're not hitting it all the way. So I can definitely make more torque on the low end.
It's already rowdy.
Dude, it's actually pretty rowdy. I'm actually pretty happy with it. I just want to see 501 over 601. It's all by one. Because that turbo's fucking small, dude. 600 pounds of torque on that tiny ass turbo. Hold on. We can spin it any more than that. Honestly, I have more left, but I don't want to hurt the turbo long term.
So you want me to full throttle it like at 1500?
Yeah, 15 to 22 range. I like rolling at 15 by the time 2200 should be full.
Alright, I'm flashing. Revision 2.
Yeah, this 501 over 600 I'm gonna stop. Because I think that's pretty fucking spicy on that. I just don't know that big.
Alright, so I flashed the second revision. About to put in dyno mode. That 498 looks really fucking good though.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy about it. I mean, just when we got the Supras and the turbos are bigger. I can make more. I've got a couple of tricks, but we're still in testing phase. Dude, this is pretty. I usually stop at 550 torque on the Supras is my default map. And then people want to go saucy, I'll go more. That's because the fuel pump we have. So the fact he's making another 40, 50 pounds of torque over a Supra, not bad. Yeah, I hope it hits 501. If it doesn't, I'm still content. That little blip is weird though. I don't know what's going on. Dude, I'm jealous of those pumps though. I wish we could use those on Supras. He estimated 533 on a Mustang, and it depends how they calibrated it, because that Mustang is pretty high. Oh, he estimated 585 torque, so we completely annihilated him. Completely annihilated.
So I'll start at 1500 this time. 502 and 598.
Oh, damn it. I don't think I want to go anymore.
Yeah, let's leave it there.
I think we're going to call it there.
Yeah.
I know I can push one of those to about 620 torque. I just don't know if the turbo will handle it, and I'd rather be realistic.
Oh shit, I forgot to log that.
Gonna log it?
Yeah. Here, I'll do it. You want me to do another one?
Let it cool down for a second, I'll see it plot. Honestly, E60, it'll probably put on a slightly faster 6130.
Oh, with the current tune would handle E60?
Yeah, he's got 360 on that.
Okay. That's pretty good. That's pretty good, huh?
You'll do higher than 85.
Stock turbo, high pressure fuel pump.
459 or 537, so they made a higher rating Dyno.
Made less power this time.
Yeah, well, I didn't expect it to blow. I just want to see what the log shows. That much power again, it's going to have to sit for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, it made 496 and 589 though. I mean, that's not bad.
Yeah, dude, if you let it sit for 20 to 40 minutes, it'll go back up, but you logged it though, right?
Yes, I'm sending it to you right now.
The log being warmer is be more useful anyway.
Okay.
We're gonna leave it where it is. I want to see a nice pull, like a 3, 4, 5, 6 pull, and see what it does. At some point, I might have to dial it back just a tad. Where it is though, we're running a little bit saucy timing, but honestly, the car was making more power with that timing. So I'm gonna leave it. I'm not worried. Like, we fucking tapped 20 degrees up top.
God damn, dude.
But the power went up every pull. So
yeah.
I mean, we'll see what it does in the street. We may pull back here, but no, it looks a lot better. I mean, we got a tiny blip of throttle closure, like literally we dropped like 1%. So you actually floored it that time. The car's hitting targets everywhere. Fuck it, send it.
Yep, I'll give you a 456 later and maybe a 60 to 130.
Yeah, if you get 6130, it'd be awesome. Yeah, if you get the deal on there, run the E50, I could see a little timing correction, so I'll just pull the boost back just a little bit. It'll make the same power. I just had to, it's a thing we figured out on the racetrack. We take the target in the dyno, and then we'll pull the boost back until it stops correcting, and it makes the same power. It's just one of the things we have to play with.
Okay.
It's spicy map though.
Yeah, it's good.
He's kind of making a little bit of boost.
What is he peaking at?
Like 25, 26 pounds.
God damn. 25? You said 25 pounds?
We don't run mini fuels cars. We do run turbo. The whole thing is you can run 30 at 3,000 RPM. You cannot run 30 at redline. Like people try to run more than, like you should run more than 20 to 21 and a half at redline.
Alright, well, I'm gonna get off the dyno and then I'll do a few pulls later and send them to you.
Alright, go on.
Alright, man. Thanks, bro.
They're pretty decent.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, bro. Bye. Alright, guys, so we are done. The car made 502 wheel horsepower and 598 pound-feet of torque, and that's pretty much where we stopped at. There was more room for more fuel, so he could technically up the torque a little bit more, power go up a little bit more, but he just did not want to do that. I think we're at a good spot. The tune itself is already kind of spicy as it is, so he just wanted to leave it alone for now. The uncorrected numbers are 504 wheel horsepower and 600 pound-feet of torque, and he thinks that on the street it will actually put down a little bit more power. The next thing we got to do, the process is not over, but it's almost over at this point. But the next thing he wants to do is he wants to just go ahead. We're gonna do a few pulls on the highway. That way we can get it truly dialed in. And he also said that the tune also has some room for an increased ethanol content. So we could probably do about an E60 blend, and on a roll it would actually really benefit it. There is that option there, but as it stands, it's officially a 500 horsepower car on ethanol, and I think Eric is really happy right now. I talked to him, he's not here. I actually took the car and brought it here so we could do all of this today. He's pretty happy, he's pretty surprised actually, and I'm surprised myself too that the car made over 500 horsepower, because I remember in the early days of B58 it was really hard to even squeeze out like 540 horsepower. But now tuning's gotten to where it needs to be, and you know, the hardware like the upgraded pumps and stuff, has gotten to where it needs to be to make this a lot easier. So congratulations to Eric for finally having a 500 horsepower car. This is pretty much it as far as custom tuning. The rest is just whatever you communicate with your tuner. The car feels smooth. But anyway guys, this has been it for tuning experience and just what to expect when custom tuning with a tuner. There are a lot of good tuners out there. Of course, I always recommend MarinTuned. He's been great to me. He's actually one of my sponsors, and he talked to me when he was first starting to get into the Gen 1 B58. He's a known super tuner for the Gen 2 B58, but for the Gen 1, we used my car kind of as a test car, and then obviously it made really good power. Now we tuned Eric's car. It made really good power too for the mods. So if you guys need a custom tuner, go ahead and hit up MarinTuned. Look into MG Flasher. MG Flasher has been a great platform, really good features. I'm gonna ask Marin if he can actually do a map switching file so that we can switch between 93 and the E50 map without having to reflash, which is one of the benefits of having MG Flasher at the moment. This is it. This is the experience. It has been pretty fun filming all of this and actually going through the process. It's a very long process. It's not as fun as people think it is, because you're not, you know, there's not really a fun aspect to it. It's a lot of like logging, sending it to a tuner and waiting, but the end result is always satisfying. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next video. Peace.